Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it.
What's up, Warriors? Welcome back for yet another episode of 40 Below Zero. Terry, tell me about how you fell again.
Whoa. Is this how we're starting it?
Yeah, because when I first logged on, you said, I have a story. I fell out of my chair again.
Yeah. Let me tell you. First of
Please.
all, this is going to set the mood I'm in today. I'm in a good
Okay.
mood today. I
All
got
right.
great sleep and everything. And I'll tell you what happened after the fall. It wasn't really the fall that was a bitch, but on my driveway, not my driveway, but my, where I leave the condo, the streets or the paveway, whatever,
Uh-huh.
is just choppy. So nobody would understand, right? Unless you're in a chair. And I had my smart drive on. Now, if Jen is listening to this, she understands completely because when I was in Edmonton, this almost happened to me with her. But
Okay.
anyway, my wheel got stuck and my smart drive, which is that motor behind my chair, keeps pushing. So it got
Oh,
stuck in the front. My motor pushed me right out of my chair. I didn't fall, like I wasn't hurt or anything, but my ego, bro, because I'm lying there and all these windows, and there's one lady at her balcony, and I could see she's just kind of sneaking a look. And I didn't it's so embarrassing, bro. You have like my ego is damaged. So I'm lying on the floor and I'm okay. Like I'm not hurt. But remember, I'm in the middle of the driveway because there's no sidewalks for me. So I'm in the
okay.
middle of, I keep saying driveway, but it's like the roadway to enter the condo.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh, is there cars going to come? I don't know. So I adjust my chair and then a car pulls up and she slows down, looks at me, and you could tell she's about to go, but I guess her conscience kicked in and said, no, I got to make sure this guy's okay. And I'm looking at her and I'm trying to get eye contact with her so I can be like, I'm okay. You need to go away.
Right.
Like, there's nothing you can do right now. I need to pick myself up. So she reverses a bit, stops, then finally the eye contact. She looks at me and I say, I'm fine. Go. I'm fine. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, just go. So she leaves. I'm calm again. I get my chair. I eventually get up on my chair. Everything's okay. My ego's damaged. I'm pretending to be like, ugh, like I'm trying to act all like this didn't bother me, but what the hell? So this is not the story. I get back to my condo. There's few people in front of the building. Everybody wants to talk to the guy in the wheelchair. So there's a few people in front of the building. One lady, I love this community here. There's a bunch, and I love Portuguese, and there's a bunch of Portuguese in this building, and they feel like they're family to me. I don't
Oh,
know what
good.
it is. They take care of me. It feels like family. But this one lady she goes, hi, how are you? And I'm like, shit, maybe I shouldn't do the accent. But hey, and I'm like, not bad. Actually, I got a story to tell you. And I told her I just fell right there. It was so, and I wanted to tell someone because I was so damn embarrassed, man. So I'm like, I fell right there. And then she goes right away, starts to tell me about her story and how sad she is because this one person died, one of her friend's daughters. And it wasn't even the one with MS. That's what she said to me.
And it wasn't even.
Dude,
Have you talked about this woman before? Was this the one
no,
that
no,
no?
no, guaranteed. Unless
Wow.
something like this happens similar, but no, not even close. This
Hmm.
happened, and I looked at her, and there's no one around me to be like, did she just say that?
Right.
Like, it should have been the one with MS that died first. It's
Oh
just
my
so
goodness.
bad. That
That
triggered me.
I swear. Yeah, seriously. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where were you going? Who let you out?
That's not
Were,
funny.
were you going to Timmy's?
No, man, it was a sunny day. I wanted to be out.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to be out. So I just cruise around, sometimes pointlessly, man. I put music on. I used to go to Timmy's because I wanted to just go out, but I used
Right.
to spend money on nothing, man. Go get a coffee, spill it half on my leg on the way back. All right, man. How you doing? Do you have any falls lately?
No, thankfully no, but we'll get to me now. I have some questions first. Some questions about the story. Um, so you're not your chair doesn't have a seatbelt.
No.
No, yeah, neither does mine. I don't wear mine either. I'd rather fall away from the chair than with the chair if the chair goes over. But I think that's a personal preference.
I think my chair leaned forward and I kind of took myself out of there. But yeah,
And that's one of the hazards, I guess, of the smart drive is you really got to be aware of when how does it stop?
dude, now I
How
have PTSD from that because
how does it stop?
it, it
How do you
doesn't stop.
engage it?
There's no safety feature.
No?
There's no like, oh, you feel a bump or if there's a wall in front of me, my smart drive is underneath pushing me. If there's a wall in front of me and I just keep going, the smart drive will lift my chair and go underneath.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's powerful, man.
Well,
It's
I guess it has
powerful.
to be because you're.
It's
So how does it work? Like how do you turn it on? How do you control it? Do you control it?
Yeah, well, before okay, there's several ways. First of all, it comes with a watch, not this
Okay.
watch. The watch is so outdated, and the company, it's kind of it's not a good thing because the watch is so outdated, and people use the watch to stop. So it would be like a tap. It's kind of
That
weird. It's a
that
weird.
doesn't sound reliable at all.
It wasn't reliable, and I was told be careful. There's been some accidents, and it used to be a push button as well, just in
Okay.
case the watch didn't work. I can push a button to push me going faster. But again, that button would wear out. It wouldn't be functional. Right now, I have a dial. I bought a new thing. It's a dial. So I just turn
Okay.
for the speed. Okay. But the thing is, if I need to stop right away, there's a button I can push, but it's not that easy to push. And
Hmm.
yeah, you got to be
Hmm.
careful. And
So
before it
it's
used to be a tap. If you have the watch, you can tap and it'll stop the chair. But can you imagine this?
yeah,
Stop the
you're
chair
out of
because
control and you're clapping your wrist. Huh.
silly.
So what would what would make it better if you were on the design team? What would you say? Like, oh, there should be a joystick. There should be excuse me.
Man, I don't know. I
Have you ever
guess
thought like, oh, I wish it had whatever?
no, because you don't want it to be sensitive either.
Right.
Because when I had the watch on, sometimes I'd hit a bump and that would feel like a tap. I'm like,
Uh,
whoa, why am I slowing down? And you're on a momentum, like on a.
right. Hmm.
I guess you just got to be careful when you have this. And if that is a worry to you, maybe that shouldn't be your equipment. There's so many
Yeah,
other types of equipment.
it uh, it is. And I don't think I would get that because I don't know if I feel like you have to have a lot of things going for you in order to use that equipment. Like you have to have use of your hands, you have to have, cognitive awareness. Like you have to because you're going faster than you can push yourself, obviously. So, yeah,
Mm.
there's a lot to consider for that. So, I would say for me right now, no, that wouldn't be a thing. That wouldn't be what I would buy. I feel like I'd hurt myself.
The only reason why I got it is because of my ego. I just wanted to go around and
Sure.
not have anyone help me. I didn't have a vehicle, and it didn't look like I had anything pushing me because it's very sleek. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of hidden. It's you gotta. But I've been kicking around the idea of getting it. It's not covered by my insurance yet. I mean, it's weird. I say it's not covered, thankfully, meaning I don't need it yet.
mhm, mhm.
Um, so I would have to pay out of pocket. That's about 13 grand, I think.
It's expensive.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, should I save up for it? But I'll wait until they have a more user-friendly input for it. I don't know. It's just too sketch for me.
Bro, I hear you, man. I bought all my toys. Like I even bought the one that goes under the chair from the front and
Oh
lifts
yeah.
up my wheels.
How does that one work? That
I
one's exciting looking.
yeah, it is, but I can't. I can't. I took
No?
it out once and a guy in a truck pulling in Tim Hortons in front of me, he turned, he looked outside and he pointed at me and he went, aha, and he laughed, bro. And I don't know if
Oh.
I don't know why he laughed. I don't know if it's because my beard and I had like my hair was down and I looked like a biker, and I was like this,
on your trike.
right? Because I
Uh,
has big wheels because the wheelchair is still there. So
sure.
I don't know if he noticed there was a wheelchair connected to it, or did he think that I was on some kind of, you know,
Maybe I don't want to. Maybe he thought it was just great that you in a wheelchair are still getting like that's a really
no.
cool. I don't
It
know.
was so
I'm just
obvious, bro.
guessing.
I don't know if he was making fun. Maybe that's just my mind, but he definitely looked outside and he went, ha ha. And he and he was a cool looking guy in a truck, It wasn't
Yeah.
so I was
Huh.
just like, the hell, man.
Terry, I've clocked it, and that's way too many falls in the last month. So we need to address that. There's been falls. So now there's falls in the wheelchair. There's falls in the shower.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
okay.
luckily you're not getting hurt on any of these
No,
falls.
man, it's never a hurt situation.
Yeah,
Like I scuffed my knee, scrape, but it's not even a big deal.
sure. So
Yeah.
I am now a victim of the climate now that it's very hot. We're in the middle of our first heat wave of the summer, um, or it has begun. So I was out trying to get some yard work done before it got too hot, but it was too hot when I woke up. So I just kind of had to do it, or as much as I could do it. And I do not have a very flat property.
Okay.
It's not always the easiest for me to get around. Um, so walking back up the hill is when my muscle fatigue and spasticity hit, and it's a weird sensation. It really feels like all of a sudden you've stepped into quicksand.
Okay.
Both the ground and even the air feels hard to move through, and I'm slowed down where like I would be like and grab something, and it's like this kind of a grab. So there's a disconnect between what my mind wants to do and what my appendages are actually doing, and that causes me to fall sometimes. um so I don't have vertigo.
Okay.
I don't have imbalance by it. I mean, I do a little bit have imbalance, but it's more of like I don't know. I guess I'm not, for me it's when I get slowed down, my brain's a half a step ahead. So I guess that's where the fall comes from. Um so
R-
luckily I just tuck and roll and go with it.
mm,
So I didn't so luckily I did not fall yesterday, but
Yeah.
I came pretty close to it. And Kit's great. She recognizes, like, she checks on me often when I'm outside because she knows that I will overdo it.
Yeah.
Uh,
She's
because of ego.
she seems like the type to be like, Nick, I told you, get inside already, you
Yep,
know?
yep, pretty much.
Oh
She's
my
like,
God.
she comes
Yeah.
out and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm trying to do. What was I doing? I think I was pulling weeds or cutting grass or something.
Yeah.
Um, and she was like, "It's been an hour in this heat, which is like 3 hours in the heat."
Dude, that's a lot.
And it is a lot. And I didn't realize it had been an hour. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I'll come in because I like to. I find it beneficial when I work from 8 or 9 in the morning till 11, and then I do nothing until like 5 o'clock at night again. So I just stay out of the sun for those
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll be right in. And I started to walk back into the house, and all of a sudden, it was like quicksand. So I just slowly went to the ground. I mean, I had my cane. I'm using my
Yeah.
cane, so I used that for support, and I went to the ground. And I text Kit, and I said, hey, I need some help. I'm in the front yard. Can you bring my crutches?
Oh, you didn't even make it inside the house.
I made it like 3 steps after she said it's time to come in.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not laughing.
No, 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 no. You believe me,
Yeah.
she called it right. She was like, it's been an hour, get in. Um, so I texted her and said, "Can you bring my crutches?" And she did, and I made it in, and because they're very helpful, because I get to use my upper body for more support and stuff like that. But unfortunately, my property is not conducive to being in a wheelchair, with the hills and all.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where you have your whole day planned out, your whole week planned out, and it just all goes away because of the heat. So I try really hard. I'm still trying really hard not to be frustrated. Um, Even all these years later, I still get frustrated. Um, Still trying to do too much. Still being reminded that yes, in fact, I do have this, and
It's
it
real.
is slowing me down. It is real. Like, for as much as you and I talk, and as much as everybody we talk to pretty much says the same thing, they're always, frustrated with themselves and mad at themselves and sad and all that. It's like it's very real. I mean, the stuff I wanted to do yesterday, I got about halfway through it, maybe, and it's not going to get done now until at least next week.
Hmm.
So I gotta get that in my head that it's okay, and that the only thing that's going to happen is the grass is going to get a little longer than I want it.
It
I mean,
sucks, man, when you want to do something and you just can't do it.
yeah,
You got to wait for somebody else, or it just takes longer.
yep. And
Me too, man.
that's another hidden cost of MS. Like, you and I talk a lot about the costs of being chronically ill. Another one is I have to now, if I want to get it done, I have to pay someone to do it for me. And insurance doesn't cover someone cutting my grass.
I get really frustrated, man. It's like a claustrophobic feeling,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I don't know what it is, but easy tasks. If I need to put this up there, I'll do it myself. And then sometimes, I shouldn't have done it myself because I lost my balance. But then when I ask somebody else to do it, they don't do it exactly the way I want. And that frustrates me the
Mm,
most. Not because they didn't, but because don't have the capability of doing it myself.
yep. Yep.
Kills me.
Yep. Boy, do I totally get that, because you're like, and it's dumb stuff too. It's like put the I wouldn't put the cup up there facing that way. I would put the handle facing to the left, not to the right or whatever. And it doesn't matter to anybody, but it's the biggest deal because we couldn't do it.
True. True that. And it's not
So
their fault. It's nobody's fault.
no, 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 no.
No. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. No, no, no. Not saying that. It's our own nonsense in our heads saying that
Mhm.
it's not done right because we didn't do it, or the world isn't in balance because we didn't, put the cup to the left or whatever. It's all made up nonsense, Terry. But
Yeah.
it's real. It causes us to feel very sad and causes me to be very frustrated very often. And I try really hard not to take that out on the people around me. Um, you know, I deal with a lot with the memory. I get mad. Like, kid will say something and I'll get mad, but I'm getting mad at the fact that I cannot recall whatever the information is. And I try really hard not to make it seem like I'm getting mad at her for trying to correct me when she says, like, "Do you remember when we said we were going to do this tomorrow?" And I'm like, "No, I don't remember that." And she's like, "Yeah, you said we were going to do that." And I'm like, and I just get really angry because I have no recall.
I
So
get it, bro. It
that's
worries
why I
me
have
too.
that's why I have lots of notes.
Dude, I get it. The worst is when I know she's doing something tomorrow night because she's like, hey, tomorrow night I'm doing this and this and that. And I forget what she's doing exactly. So I ask her, but I say, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I remember, I don't remember.
Hmm.
And I feel like, that
There
just,
there are days that I ask Google, "What day is it?" like 4 and 5 times. I'm like, because I just totally forget what day it is.
whatever.
So
Days
it's
are
frustrating.
overrated.
Yeah.
It's,
Every day is today anyway, right?
who cares? So I was reading some. Sorry, go ahead. You
No,
had
no,
something
no.
to say?
Go.
I was reading
No.
some facts from a newsletter that I got from. Don't ask me where. Some MS thing. I don't know which MS Canada. It could be in some company in the States, but I get all these newsletters, and there was some true or false
Oh,
statements.
question time. Everybody loves
Yeah,
question time.
I only I only put the four that I was interested in here
Okay.
to talk about. Okay,
All
I
right.
didn't because we all know the true and false statements, I'm sure.
Well, listen, you don't have to lie, first of all. You know you got it from Teen Magazine. It's fine.
You think Teen Magazine is gonna have MS topics?
No, God, no.
It would be
That'd be what a world if they
it
did, right?
should. Yeah, I mean it should. Come on, get up with it. Get up
All
with
right,
it.
what do you got for
Get
me?
with it.
Get with it.
Okay. First one, which okay, let me just say it and then we'll talk about it. This is a true or false statements, remember, okay,
Okay.
that they put on for people to read. MS is a contagious disease that can be transmitted through close contact with individuals who have the condition. We know it's false. Okay. Really? Have you ever heard someone think that it's contagious? Have you ever met someone that you think have you ever thought it was contagious? No, come on. I'm
No.
serious. That is the
Well,
stupidest.
listen, if they didn't, somebody asked the question and somebody thought that it was important enough to put into a magazine or a newsletter. So there are people out there that believe it.
I don't know. I
But
think that's just an
but I think, sorry to cut you off,
no,
but
please.
I think that that question comes from other illnesses that people were super afraid that that's how you got it. You know, it's not so long ago in our history that people thought you could catch diseases from toilet seats. So,
Definitely.
somebody who has no idea about MS, like had never heard of it or is just hearing about it for the first time, that's kind of a valid question. But for you and I, it's comical because of all the work we do.
Yes,
But I can
definitely.
see that. I can see that being someone's question.
So, have you ever seen a person in a wheelchair? You don't even know what they have, but have you ever seen a person in a wheelchair and being like, "Oh, I better not get close to that guy. I don't want to get whatever he has."
That I believe that is one of the top reasons why people do not go to support groups, Terry. I believe that people do not, there are a number of people that don't go. And I've talked to them and they say, I don't go because I don't want to see anyone with the same condition I have in a wheelchair. Wasn't that your fear? It was my fear one time. It was a thought I had, but
It was, yes, it
mhm.
was.
So if you and I thought that simply seeing someone in a wheelchair would cause us to be in a wheelchair, or at
So that's what
least,
you mean by contagious. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I
Mentally.
don't, yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. Mentally contagious.
Yeah. It was
Excuse me.
there was one time when a lady was walking towards me and she stepped off of the sidewalk and it was
Hmm.
very clear she took like a good meter or two away from me and
Hmm.
walked and I triggered and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what the hell? It's not contagious." And I just went on a fit, not to her, like when I got home. But then someone's like, "Maybe it's because of COVID." And I'm like, "Oh, it
Yeah.
probably was because of COVID." Because
Yeah.
I've
Well,
experienced
or
that.
she was being courteous to give you as much
It
space as
was
you needed.
way out. Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
guess.
that might be a
I
little
guess so. I guess
exaggerated.
so. I
I was
guess.
down at CB Park watching the Phils play last night, and there was a good crowd, sold out again. I mean, it's every game's getting sold out now because the Phils are on a hot streak.
Did you just go again?
Yeah,
Did you just go? Oh
yeah.
my God.
I go like once a month.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's
So if I ever come down to Phillies,
we're going.
it's gonna be
It,
during the season.
it's already on the list.
Done.
Yep,
Okay.
it's already something I'm thinking about. Because you got to experience it. It's a great time. Good crowd as always. Very nice, respectful people. Um, I did get hit with a bag accidentally in the face. So
Oh,
that was not great. The woman just turned and I guess whatever for whatever reason her bag just hit me in the side of the. She was super apologetic. You just thought that she'd shot me, Terry. She
yeah,
was
yeah.
like overly apologetic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
And I
yeah,
assume and I and I reassured her that, you know, things happen and it's,
yeah, yeah.
it's not any different. I told her, I said it's not any different than hitting anybody else with your bag,
Exactly. You're right.
I said I just happened to be in the line of fire.
It'd be different if she kicked your chair and didn't
Right.
even acknowledge,
Right.
I don't even know if you were in a chair. Just
But I did have so when we're waiting in the line to get into the stadium, because the lines they're insane. They stretch around the block. They go quickly, but there's a lot of people. So I did have a family behind me, and they had two little ones. I want to say like 5 or 6 years old,
okay.
around there. Very inquisitive, and it was a nice way to kill some time waiting in line. By answering their questions.
Oh, no
They're
way.
very two little girls. They asked very innocent questions. Like did it hurt getting into the wheelchair? Um,
Okay.
was it an accident? Like did I get into a car accident?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, was I born needing to use a wheelchair? I mean, these are good questions that they
These are
asked.
really good questions.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. And the mom was like, oh, at first she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I said, for what? I said, don't apologize. I said, kids should be inquisitive. I said, I'm very happy to talk because I might have been the first or one of a few, or, how many contacts with people in wheelchairs do you have at age 5?
Exactly.
So I kind
And
of took it as a moment.
with someone that looks good. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
look at you.
No, man, not. But
Oh, you mean
seriously,
looks healthy. I thought you were
approachable,
complimenting me, Terry.
relax.
Look,
By
I
the way,
did.
you're wearing a red shirt. I'm wearing a blue shirt. Perfect for this, for the cold and the heat. Anyway, go ahead.
But no, they were very inquisitive. Um, it was cute. I hope I, made it not scary.
I think next time they see someone in a wheelchair, they won't be, kind of
I hope so.
broke the ice with them.
Yeah. And, that's one of the things that I talk about when I do stuff with the MS Society. Um, I tell, I've said in an interview recently, you having MS makes you an MS ambassador because you spend a lot of your time explaining the disease and explaining how you go about your daily life to people who don't have it or don't get it. So I said, don't think that just because you don't work for the or volunteer with the society or work for it or whatever is that you're not one. So no, so it was a good time. Of course, they won, so that's always makes it more fun
Nice.
when they win.
Are they doing good this season?
They're tied. I think they're tied for number one in the league
Okay,
overall. They have,
cool.
one of the best records. Yeah, they're doing really, really good. And they're a lot of fun to watch. So
Do any people still climb the poles, the light
not yet.
poles?
It's only when you win.
Oh, so
That's
that
only when
will
you win the
happen?
championship. If they do, probably. If they have another parade, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's
So that
funny.
was a good moment. But no, I don't think is MS contagious a silly question. It's silly for us, but not silly for the public.
I guess. I really want to meet one person that thought it was contagious. Just
Yeah.
curious. Yeah.
Me too. Um, I think people are more inclined to be quiet about that. They're more inclined to Google it now that we don't actually have to like embarrass ourselves by asking questions. We can just ask our phone and no one knows, you know what I mean, except for
Yeah, I understand.
Google.
I understand.
Um,
You know what? That is a basic knowledge thing. Just an FYI. That's what I feel like it is.
sure.
And then someone's like, "Oh, I knew it wasn't contagious, but thanks for letting me know."
Yeah.
Now I can hug that guy.
From the side in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
not straight on, so your butt's sticking out.
Still happens.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
All right,
Next question.
I was gonna say, what do you got? What's the next one?
This is silly. I mean, fatigue. I wanted to talk to you about this one. Fatigue is a common symptom of MS that can significantly impact daily life and energy levels. obviously true. Now,
My yard story.
your yard story, bro, it's not even about the body. It's the mental thinking. What
Hmm.
did he hear? Cognitive function, overall well-being.
Yep.
You know, so if someone has MS, I understand they might be in remission, so they might have no lesions and stuff. But people are affected and they don't even know they're affected. People think fatigue means, slowing down. And that's how I am when I come in from the sun. I'm fatigued, bro. I can't even lift my hands with a fork. It's so scary. And I don't want anyone to see me that way. But do you think people suffer with fatigueness and they don't admit it behind the scenes? That's a torture, man. That's a hidden.
Yes. I would say absolutely. There are people that suffer with all sorts of things because of this, and they don't tell anybody. They don't talk about it. They don't want to burden people. They don't want to,
Mhm.
cause any distress for their loved ones, and on and on and on. But really what they're doing is just not addressing uh the disease at all. They're just hiding it, and that doesn't help. I found it much easier to be super open and super honest and say things like, I can't right now. I'm fatigued out. My battery's drained. Whatever I say in the moment. But
You- It's because you're lucky that you're with people who understand, who
right.
support, but there might be people that don't understand. So, you know, they're alone in this.
How many times have you and I heard people people's family situation changing because of the diagnosis? I mean, we know a couple people where their whole lives have been upended because of their partner is like, nope, I didn't sign up for this, and they bail.
Many more than a couple.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of a horrible thing, if you ask me.
But it's always two sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Like when I got diagnosed with MS, I became a different person as well. And, so, okay. So that's fatigue. And, there's another thing. I might switch topics a bit because of this. It's reminding me of something.
Okay.
And it's kind of a trigger for me, but I don't want to come out like, you know, uh, first of all, there's a main fact that everyone knows with MS. It's a main fact that it's a main fact. I mean, it's a fact that everyone knows. MS affects more women than men. Okay.
Yeah.
MS is 2 or 3 times more common in women than men. Women are typically diagnosed at a younger age, with the peak onset of MS occurring in early adulthood. I don't mind that statistic. It's true. I feel like sometimes it's thrown in at the wrong time. Like just to say it is okay, obviously, because it's a fact. And I'm not discrediting that fact.
Right.
But I feel like it discredits men that get diagnosed. I don't know why, man. And I hate to talk about it because I'm not trying to beat on, you know, that's so
Right.
wrong.
You were about to say it. Yeah.
I'm not trying
No.
to beat on women.
Yeah,
But
don't do that. That's bad.
but you know what I mean though? That
I
I
do.
don't know why that's a trigger for me. Because
Well, oh, because what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
I
cut you
just
off.
I just feel like it discredits men who get it. Like
Well, facts are
it
facts, right?
almost like hey guys, MS is serious. It's hurting more women. I almost feel like they're playing it like, guys, take this serious. The children are getting hurt.
Right. I
It's
hear you. I
almost
hear what
like,
you're saying.
yeah, it's like, dude, it's serious no matter what,
Yeah.
no matter who it hits.
Well, here's a couple of things I think that is I without having any factual information to back up my belief, which is weird, but I think the reason why the number of men who are diagnosed is so low is a twofold issue. Um, Men aren't reporting it, so they're not saying. So doctors aren't looking for the symptoms in men, and men aren't going to doctors saying, "Hey, every couple of days my leg really gets numb." So they're not reporting it because the symptoms are vague. Let's be honest. The symptoms are vague until they're not. So in my case, I have records going all the way back to my pediatrician saying that my eyesight was blurry, my rib cage hurt randomly, and when I was a teenager, my left leg would go numb, and then my right leg would go numb. And no, every doctor wrote it off as my ribs were growing pains. That was just me growing. The leg numbness was because at the time I was in marching band and I was carrying a drum harness, and the harness sat right above, right below your stomach. So they said, oh, that must be pinching a nerve. So they didn't look for, and why would you look for MS?
I get what you're saying, and I thought of this too, and I wanted to say this, but at the same time, that's kind of okay. So men don't report it as much, so that's why we don't have it as much as women. So what are you saying? Women complain about it a lot more, but you
No.
know what I mean? That's you know,
Yes.
depends on the region you're in. I don't know what
Hmm.
to say. That's kind of a
No, you're
tough.
right. No, you're right. But I think that I'll back up a second. I think that anyone who works long hours, whether it's in an office or on an oil rig, and you have to work those long hours because, your family's depending on it or your house or whatever your financial situation is, you have to get up, you have to get dressed, and you got to go. It doesn't matter what you have. So, that kind of a mindset will not allow that person to get to the doctor to say, "Hey, my leg is numb." Because they know, numb leg or not, they got to get up tomorrow and go to work.
So maybe in 100 years from now, when society has changed a bit and the workforce is more women working than men, because we realize women are more capable of getting shit done than us, whatever the case is, then more men will start reporting they have MS. I'm just saying.
I think you need a long time in the human evolution you'd have to undo millennia of male ego in order for that. But it doesn't matter, man or woman, if you have to get up and go to work, you're going to put aside that minor ache or pain. I did. I personally can tell you that I really thought it was my ballistic vest crushing my ribs
Oh man.
when I was in my early 20s. So in my teenage years I reported my ribs would hurt off and on, and they said it was growing pains. Then it went away for a while. Then in my early 20s, I thought it was the vest again. Like I was like, ah, man, I just wrenching those
What did you
straps
call
a little
that
too tight.
vest? Ballistic?
Yeah, it's a ballistic vest.
I don't know what that is, man.
Uh,
I know I've
bullet
heard it before. I'm just
bullet resistant vest.
oh, okay,
Bulletproof
bulletproof
vest.
vest.
I don't want
Okay.
to say proof. I don't like using the word proof because they can go
Ballistic.
certain rounds can go through certain vests, so they're not proof. They're resistant
So
is the
when did
official
your
wording.
rib? You never got shot there?
No,
I
thankfully.
know it's the hug. It must be the hug,
Yeah,
but
it was but
I
I
was
didn't
just
know.
curious.
But I kept playing it off. My point is, I would say it was just from the fact that I was wearing the vest and sitting in the car or standing with it on for 8 hours, 16 hours a day when I would work doubles or whatever. So I thought that was the reason. I didn't know. I certainly
Yeah.
didn't go to the doctor if I didn't wear my vest for a week. If I was on vacation, my ribs didn't hurt. So I was like, oh, it's definitely the vest because I haven't worn it and it doesn't hurt anymore. It was so I blew off every symptom up until the point where I couldn't see. When I lost the vision in my right eye, from about midline down, then I was like, okay, I got to
But
get
you
this checked out.
but you probably still didn't think it was connected to this and that.
I
You were just like, I need to figure this out,
Right. That's
which
exactly right.
answered a lot of questions.
So I believe it's an underreporting in men because, and I base that off of, I guess I do have kind of a fact about it. I base that off the fact that the MS community as a whole, as far as the neurologists and specialists go, for a very long time said MS is a northern hemisphere disease. You have to have, European lineage. You have to be from, a northern climate. And then they get all these people in South Africa. There was something like 400,000 ish. Now don't quote me on the hard number, but there was a couple 100,000 cases of MS that they are now coming out of sub-Saharan Africa. And then the neurologists there have said, we've always had this. No one asked.
It's so true.
So, of course, there's no people there if you don't ask anybody.
That's what I meant by the region. It's different regions and how
Uh-huh.
people approach it. You're right. You're right. Totally.
So there's cultural things. I can't remember her name, but the woman we interviewed from India,
Yeah.
she talked about the cultural impact.
Surjeet.
Yeah, Surjeet, thank you.
Yes, no problem.
She talked about the cultural impact on chronic illness
Mhm.
and how much their culture plays into it.
Yeah.
So we don't even know. So,
And there's facts that I read that, first of all, MS and gut health connection is a
mhm.
big thing.
Yep.
And it's because we don't really talk about it, but there's emerging research and it suggests a potential link between gut microbiome health and MS, with studies exploring the role of gut bacteria in immune system regulation and disease progression. I'm not saying it's caused MS, but we don't look into the bacteria in our bodies, and there's
That's
so much more research.
Oh yeah, that's why if you listen to a lot of these prolific doctors on all these that do all these interviews and podcasts and shows and everything, the most notable ones will talk about diet. And because it is that important. I forget who it was. I want to say it was I don't know. I was listening to somebody and they said your brain thinks that it's in charge of your whole body. But if you go to another area of the world and eat the food and drink the water, your gut will let you know who's really in charge of your body.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
the gut is very important.
Definitely. I like that. That's definitely. I've never heard that, but yes.
I forget who it was, so I'm not even going to say. I got really lucky the last time I quoted somebody, and it actually was the right person. I believe it was Mark Twain that I quoted. And
I
I
remember
think,
that.
yeah, I got super lucky.
I'll just agree with you whatever. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Please don't fact check. No, kidding. But no,
So
it is important. I have changed my diet. I don't follow anything other than um, I got away from fried foods. I very rarely eat them anymore. Um, Not fast food. Can't even tell you the last time I had McDonald's.
I mean, I once in a blue moon I will have, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
my cheat foods or whatever you call it.
hmm
But I agree with you, man. Um,
Except for
you know,
cheesesteaks. I eat them a lot. And we've
w-
talked about that.
definitely when I visit you, I'm gonna have to have the best cheesesteak. I don't think I've ever had a cheesesteak. So maybe I have, I don't remember.
Mm,
No, probably not.
probably not. Anywho.
So let me see what else I have here. One more thing, and then I'll move on to the next thing. While MS is a chronic condition without a cure, many individuals with MS have a normal life expectancy and can lead fulfilling lives with proper management and support. Dude, that statement, I'm so sorry. I didn't even read, I read the answer, which is false. The statement is MS is a fatal condition, and individuals diagnosed with MS have a significantly reduced life expectancy.
Uh,
My bad.
well, we're playing,
False.
it's Jeopardy rules.
There you go.
You're doing the question or the answer first, then the question.
There you go. So when I read that, and I know we know already, but when
hmm
I read while MS is a chronic condition without a cure, many individuals with MS have a normal life expectancy. Dude, right there puts me in this relaxation mode of, uh, at least they didn't say, although it can lead to early life
Right.
expectancy, for the most part, no, but they actually make it seem like, dude, you're gonna live a normal life. Even
Well,
you're gonna
I think with the medication that's available now, the odds of that go way up. When I was first told that, when you when you first hear that, that's actually all right. Here's an interesting story.
all right.
That's the second time I had heard that phrase in my life. Uh, the phrase that says many people with dot 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 go on to lead long lives, long happy lives.
Mhm.
That was the second time I'd heard that. The first time was when my daughter was very young. Um, she had received her autism diagnosis when she was 3 years old. And she had been, it took us 3 years. So from 18 months to 3 years old, we really didn't know what was going on. It was scary as hell. She had received a diagnosis that was super vague. They don't even, it's so vague, in fact, that they have dropped it from all medical texts and they don't even use it anymore. She was initially diagnosed with what was known as PDDNOS,
Okay.
which is pediatric developmental delay not otherwise specified,
Wow.
which I think is doctor speak for we have no idea.
So was this before the actual diagnosis
It
of?
was. That was the first one she received, and at that time, she was nonverbal. So the first time I had heard that phrase about long and you know fulfilling lives was when the doctor was telling Kit and I that many nonverbal people go on to lead long and fulfilling lives. So when I heard it for the second time, I was like, well, we dodged. I don't want to say we dodged a bullet on the first one because we kind of did because through very intensive therapies from with Kit and a whole bunch of other people with like OTPT, like all these titles behind their name. So the work that Kit did, the work that Olivia did, my daughter,
Yeah.
the work that we all put in, she is very talkative these days. It took about a year and a half, but she did start to eventually start to talk, and now normal. Normal in the fact that you wouldn't even know that she at one point couldn't or wouldn't.
Yeah.
More like couldn't, but um. So to hear that phrase related to me and my condition, you kind of get like this, because it's not going to be the life you expect. So, and I don't know what life I was expecting. Um, I don't know what life anybody expects.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a plan, you make a plan, you think you're going to be heading in one direction, but you didn't know that through life it's not a straight line. It's more like a so.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly like that phrase, but I understand we don't have many phrases to comfort people when it comes to a diagnosis. But it is very true. I will say this for our listeners and viewers. Um, you do have the potential to lead a long and healthy and fulfilling life with MS, especially with the drugs that are available now. Even the holistic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I believe that. And
Hmm.
neuroplasticity is a big thing too. Um,
Yep.
the brain's ability to reorganize and adapt to changes. Um, yeah, and we're not. I always used to say, I feel like I'm on my way out.
Mm,
I feel like I'm on my way out. I feel like my body is saying, "Hey, bro, it's gonna be a long journey on your way out, but you're on your way out." You know what I mean? But it's
yeah.
it's it's just me not being comfortable in my own body, I guess. And
Sure. because you were comfortable, right? And then all of a sudden, your body wasn't your body anymore.
Yeah.
And that is one of the big that's one of the big underlying triggers of depression in the MS community is the fact that all of a sudden you're not who you thought you'd be and things aren't going the way you thought they were. And you're forever trying to grapple with that.
And depression doesn't, like we talked about this before, it doesn't work on, oh, I'm just going to sleep all day. I'm not, sometimes depression, comes in different forms, like I
Right.
spend a lot of money when I'm depressed. I feel like I'm depressed right now. That's the
Really?
truth. Yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
bro.
I don't,
All right.
bro, I'm
What's
not,
going on?
come
No.
on. Everybody's, whenever a doctor says, do you have depression? I always say to them, who doesn't? Like, who doesn't,
There are
bro? I'm not,
there are people that don't, Terry. Otherwise
bro,
you wouldn't ask.
I feel like when someone asks depression, and if I say, yeah, I think I am, people might be like, oh no, like, what are you gonna? No, man, I'm just my mood.
Right.
I just feel like I'm in depression, and I'm realistic. I feel like I'm a realist. So a realistic guy would not be like, oh yeah, like I'm real. So I'm like, yeah, this is a shitty life that I'm living. I'm making the best out of it. I have the best people in my life right now. I'm so happy I get to do this with you. And but at the same time, bro, my life is not what I wanted it to be.
Sure.
So that's the depression in the back of the mind. There's no way you have MS and you're not depressed. Come on.
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it's
No,
not,
it weighs on you. Doesn't matter
I guess
how
that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah. No matter how little of an impact MS had or has on your life. Like there are some people that get the diagnosis and you know, like Terry says, they have the good MS, like they never have like an issues. But there are people
So wrong.
that have the it is wrong, but they have the diagnosis, they have symptoms, but it doesn't really impact their life. I know a few people that are still working. I know there's many people that still work, but personally, I know two that have had serious flares and are still working. But that's how it happens for them, and they're depressed that it happened at all. They rebounded and are back to work, and but that's the problem with relapses and remissions. You feel bad when you relapse, even though the relapse is out of your control. There are things you can do to help prevent a relapse. But if you're going to relapse, it has nothing to do with you. It's 100% what the body's doing. And that's hard for people to grasp because we all want to think that we're in control of everything all the time. And we feel bad when that doesn't happen.
It's just knowing that you have an incurable illness,
For now,
MS,
for
for
now.
now. Okay. But
Listen, we
that's
they
no
got
matter,
biomarkers now for early detection. There's like 20 some odd different DMTs that are available. There's remyelination drugs on the horizon. Um, so
dude,
we're getting there.
there's a big connection with the Epstein-Barr virus and MS.
Hmm.
There's a
Yep,
big connection. Like they're going to still look into it, but they might eventually have a vaccine to prevent
that's what
MS,
I
which
mean.
is
Yeah,
crazy to hear.
can you
But
imagine that, Terry? You're the doctor. Can you imagine a world where the doctor is like, "Well, you have MS, so take these pills for the next 6 weeks, and you'll be fine." That'd
yeah,
be wild. I
that'd
mean,
be
that's the
crazy.
goal, right? That's what
That'd
we're
be
hoping
crazy.
for. That's why we're all working so hard. But for now, the biggest thing we can do is support each other. That's the biggest thing we can do.
Because if I get cured with MS, bro, I want nothing to do with you. Okay, I'm just
I
joking.
believe that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And have you heard of MS and pregnancy? We all know that when so if
I'll tell you what really scares me
yeah,
is if if I was on a DMT where they were like, you have to stop it. But listen, pregnancy does some weird stuff to the female body. It for sure. I've heard of women having curly hair that never had curly hair before they were
Really?
pregnant. I've heard of allergies popping up, a hormonal thing. I mean, it is such a toll on the human body. But I can't speak as an expert because, I'm not going to go down there. But I just feel bad for mentally any woman that is doing good on their DMT and then has to stop if
So
that, you know what I mean?
I guess you haven't heard that. I've heard this many times in the past that if she has MS and she gets pregnant, usually the symptoms go away, almost like she doesn't have MS anymore during the
It's
pregnancy. Have you heard that before?
I've heard it's totally possible.
Okay, wait, no, 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 no. It's a very. I'm going to read you a
Okay.
statement here. MS and pregnancy. Pregnancy can have complex effects on MS, with some women experiencing symptom improvement during pregnancy due to immune system changes and potentially disease relapses postpartum. Close monitoring and care coordination are crucial for women with MS during pregnancy and postpartum. I've heard this bit in the past before even reading this. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, no way. But it doesn't mean that you're cured. I mean, right after the
No.
pregnancy, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it does. So let's face it. Childbirth is a superpower, right? Because not
Of
everybody can
course.
do
Of course.
it. And you've created an entire human. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it can do weird things.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
Oh my God. Maybe we'll bring on a lady one day and talk about that.
A lady,
Gone through
Terry.
it. I don't
No.
know, a female, huh?
Now I'm just
Awkward.
messing with you. See, this is when we're past the hour mark and our brains are slowing down.
Yes,
That's about all we can tolerate.
I'm out. I'm tapping out.
All right. What's coming up next? What's coming up this week for you? Anything?
Um, Nothing much, but we do have a guest that I'm excited to talk about.
Well,
And
please do.
yeah, she's a doctor of
Oh, the doctor's next week. Yes.
yes,
Go ahead.
yes.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. I can't wait to talk to her. And I did not know that she actually worked in the MS clinic for 6 years. So damn, does she have some good stuff to talk about?
I cannot wait, brother.
Me too.
Cannot wait. So we're going to be talking about, first of all, what's the doctor's name?
Okay, I know her as Dr. Tay. I
Okay.
don't want to say her name improperly. We'll just go with Dr. Tay for now.
That works. And she is a physio, right?
Yes, she's a physio. She works with neuroplasticity as well. Again, we will let her introduce herself.
Right. And we're going to talk about the importance of a whole bunch of stuff on the impact with MS. So our first doctor, I think, medical
Yes.
doctor,
Yes.
because we had Dr. Wagner, but he's a PhD doctor.
Yes.
So we're going to have a medical doctor. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's
All right,
always
dude.
fun.
Well, listen, pay attention to those cracks in the sidewalks. I'm going to not do so much yard work because we're in the middle of a heat wave, and hopefully we'll make it through to next Sunday.
Thanks, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Talk soon.
So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4 letter T below 0.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's what's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.